Hello everyone, this is Indu. I hope you are doing well. In today's video, we will cover what is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous programming. So it's a very important question if you are giving a .NET interview. This is the first question that will be occur. And firstly, we will discuss what is the synchronous what is the difference between asynchronous. So, when we use a synchronous, it will block the thread, but in asynchronous, it will not block the thread while waiting to the response to get the database. I will explain you with the help of simple example. So, firstly, in the asynchronous programming, for example, you are using thread 1 because in our system here in the Visual Studio there are multiple threads are working inside here. So if we don't use if we use a synchronous programming that time but it will do, for example, you can use a thread 5 to getting a list of product from the database. For example, thread 5 or thread 1 any you can take. So it will take a 40-second or 30-second to get a list for you have a 10,000 record or plus record. So that time your thread will be blocked, not used by anywhere. So this is the synchronous programming. So that time your thread will be blocked. But for now, every for latest project we are using asynchronous programming. So here we can make the task. Task means job ticket or task means that do the actual work, and thread is working doing the job means that are actual doing the work. So what it will be do in the asynchronous programming. So in here, for example, same example I will give you. If you can use a thread 1 and start fetching data from the database with the help of async, because here we can use a async and await. Async and await. Async allows method to run. Async assign. You can use the asynchronous programming. Await means wait for the result without blocking the server. Without without blocking the thread. So here you can see here. For example, same example. If we use a thread one and start fetching data from the database with the help of await, it does not block or sit here, it does not block the thread and sit here to wait the response, and it goes back, that thread goes back to thread pool and ready to help other tasks. So this await help fetching the data from the database and await for the response. For that time, that thread one we can use that is not blocked, that back to the thread pools here and ready to help other tasks. Once you can get the response after 40 seconds or 10 seconds. So any available thread it might be used. For example, thread 3, thread 4, thread 5, any thread you can use. But in this case, if you can use thread 1, it will be blocked. But here your thread will not block. Any available thread it will be assigned. For example, you can start from 1 and your response will be in the thread 3. So here we can use asynchronous programming. Here we can use the task asynchronous and await and like that way. So here every time the thread will be goes to a thread pools. I will explain you simple example. So here I can't use a synchronous programming, simply I enumerable get all. So in this case when we go here, so when we get the list it will block the thread. Here it will block the thread until the data is not retrieved from the database. And if the data is slow or lot of records, so it can cause the issue in the performance system. And to avoid this we can use the asynchronous programming. So I will show you. So for example, if you can use thread 1, so it will block that thread one until you don't get the data. So for example, your database is slow, a lot of records, so that time it's a difficult to manage things. Rather than we are using async and await. I will show you a simple example. So here everyone we can't use a asynchronous programming. Here we can use a synchronous programming. But if you can see here, this is another project. Here we are using async. So that time if I get data from the database, so that time it will not block the thread. So here it will not block the thread, like here we are getting data to a user table. If there is a multiple record, asynchronous method, we can use the await keyword. You can see here we can use the await for the it will give the fetch the data from the database that time. For example, here we can use same example. If I use thread 1 to get data from the database, and it will take 5 seconds to get the data, thread 1 will not blocked for the 5 second. For example, if we use the await, the thread 1 will be released to work another work while waiting for the while you are getting response from the database. So your thread 1 is goes back to thread pool and can be used other request or perform other task. And when I get the response from the database from the database, so any available thread from the thread full will be pick up and give to the response. So same like that way asynchronous programming is working, and it's a very important question in every .NET interview. So if you like this video, please like, share and comment. It's really motivates me to make the next video. So please comment here if you can like this video and you want more like this video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.